Hi guys, book excerpt reading. My name is Uche and I will be reading from the book Prince of Monkeys by Nnamdi Ehirim, and I will be reading from page 90. So I've given a written review of this book, but I want to read an excerpt from this book to kind of place it in your heart and give you a reason as to why you should pick up this book and read. So I'll start. I looked up at the television. The reporter's face bore no emotion. In my life, I'd heard very little of death. He had moved around me often enough, but in quiet and subtle motions, so I never really knew until he was gone. This time, he had stared me in the face, spared my life, and killed me in another way, and, as he had always done, left it to others to testify to his exploits. Civil society groups and other activists have spoken out against the siege and pledged to carry out investigations to ascertain the severity of the allegations. Our efforts to contact the Lagos state government were unsuccessful. NTA News has live footage from the protest in front of the Africa Shrine. The video took a few minutes to start. A mob of men and women, adults and children suited up and bare-chested, shouting insults and carrying placards, filled the entire screen. At the mountain of madness were chants of "We no go gree oh, we no go gree. Give us democracy, we no go gree." The next scene showed a gawky young man ahead of the crowd, his back to the camera to incite the mob. Our fathers, though once belittled, were placed with the responsibility to serve with heart and might, to defend our freedom and to chart our route back to paradise. Our fathers, once noble, were corrupted by power. They took to power ad hoc, shed blood ad nauseam, and plundered our coffers ad infinitum. Our fathers, once our hope, became our fear. Fear necessary to fuel their power over the zoo, once their jail, now their kingdom. Our fathers, once the jailed, died as jailers, and we, once heirs to paradise, live as monkeys in a zoo. The only difference between our kind and the kind on the other side of the fence is resolve. Resolve necessary for a few to find the route, which oft trod will become a footpath for all to paradise. We, once victims of circumstance, should become protagonists of our own fate. So the labors of our heroes past shall not be in vain, and we, once princes of monkeys, shall die kings among men in paradise. The mob broke into raucous noise, and it took a while for order to return. It was then that the gawky young man turned to face the camera, and I realized it had been Mendos on the television all along. I looked at my mother from the corners of my eyes and watched for any reaction, shifting closer and closer to the edge of my seat. Mendos continued in his righteous rage. Misplaced patriotism and the lives of our fathers, military and civilian, should not dissuade us from our purpose. If our fathers have no belief in liberty or value for integrity, can they tell us how to live honest and free? Take off your blindfolds and say to those doctors and professors, major generals and comrades, thank you for independence. Thank you for the ports of the coast and the crude oil of the Niger Delta. But a new kingdom has been born, and we shall rule for ourselves, not as princes of monkeys, but as kings among men. And no puppet master in Paris or Moscow, in London or Washington will sway our resolve. We shall beat our chests like gallant warriors and chant, "The crown is our birthright, and the whole world could never wrestle it away." "You're not going to be part of this madness," my mother said with an outburst. "I want no part of it." I turned towards her and saw the tears streaming down her cheeks. Nigeria does not need heroes. Nigeria needs a fa. Those who think Nigeria needs heroes should bring up their children to be heroes. They shouldn't steal my child. I tried to think of an argument, something thoughtful and intelligent and perfectly suited for the moment, as Mendel's would. But before I could speak, she had smothered me in an embrace. Pack your things, Yechi, she said. You're leaving Lagos first thing tomorrow. How was that? So, are you going to pick this book up or not? Or should I mind my business? Okay, bye.